Thank you very much, Lynn, for that overly generous introduction. Can I thank you personally for the contribution you and your organisation makes to corporate Australia, because your success is New South Wales' success, and we deeply appreciate that, and thank you for your opening remarks. Can I also take this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to recognise the patron of CEDA, Tim Besley, who's here with us, the Governor of CEDA, Peter Wills, who's with us, and also the CEDA National Chairman, Paul McClintock. It's wonderful that you're able to join us today. And can I also acknowledge in the room the very many distinguished CEOs, senior executives from the private sector, but also a number of secretaries and heads of government departments and agencies who, through collaboration and working together, have ensured that New South Wales is not just the economic success that it is, but I believe the best place to live, work, run a business and to raise a family. And there's no doubt that today New South Wales is Australia's leading economy. We're powering in economic growth, in job creation, and of course, enabling our citizens to have the opportunities that they've previously not had. And today I wanted to set out how we're making sure that New South Wales owns the industries, the jobs and the opportunities that our strong future depends on. It's one thing about delivering for today, but another thing about ensuring this sustained success and growth into the future. In the last 12 months since I last addressed CEDA, not only has New South Wales continued to lead Australia, driving more than half of the nation's economic growth, we have lifted our economy to a whole new level. CommSec has now ranked our economy first in Australia for 15 consecutive quarters. Business investment saw 20% last year in New South Wales, compared to just 3% in the rest of the nation. And the unemployment rate has now been the lowest in New South Wales in Australia for more than 3 consecutive years. Since last year's State of the State, New South Wales has created over 150,000 new jobs. And to put that into perspective, it's about half what the nation's created, but also more than Victoria and Queensland combined. And the number and proportion of our population in work has reached an all-time high. For a decade before 2011, when we came to government, I'm not going to try and be too political, New South Wales was the worst performing economy in the nation, held back, what I would argue, by a weak government, spiralling deficit, bloated bureaucracy and a massive infrastructure backlog. And today, more of our citizens have greater economic opportunities than ever before in the history of our state. We should be proud of that generation, that achievement, because it hasn't happened by government alone. But we can't be complacent about what the future holds. We have to acknowledge, and I've said this before, that we are a state of millions in a region of billions at a time of accelerating technological change, something Lynn alluded to, and something all of the private sector grapples with as well. It's hard to predict where the global economy will be in a year from now, let alone in 5 or 10 years' time. And in this environment, every decision I take as Premier is guided by what will give New South Wales the edge, what will ensure our citizens have the best opportunities for job security, not just jobs, but job security and quality of life into the future. How do we build an even stronger economy, more dynamic and globally competitive environment? How do we empower the incredible talent and aspiration that exists in all of our communities? And how, again, do we become an even better place to live, to work, to do business and to raise families? Our vision for New South Wales as a government is a state where everyone, every organisation, every group can reach their potential and lead their best lives possible, and where we provide even greater opportunities for the next generation. As a government, we've worked non-stop since 2011 to rebuild the strong economic fundamentals that allow us to be in the position we're in today. Bringing the budget back into strong surplus, eliminating government net debt. We're actually negative net debt, so $10 billion in the black, and securing our AAA credit rating. Not too many governments can claim those statistics. And off the back of this financial strength, we've reshaped the role of government as an enabler. We've managed to, as many of you have done, cut our back office expenses and put resources back on the front line where our communities and citizens want them to be. And just as Lynn outlined her organisation taking a customer-centric approach, we take a customer and citizen-centric approach to every decision we make. We've invested record amounts in our education system to prepare our young people for the changing economies. We've cut taxes and made it easier for people to do business and investment in New South Wales. And we've also strengthened our relationship with our most important trading partners, linking our economy as a state more closely to those growing economies around our region. And most significantly, a process started by my predecessors, we've undertaken one of the most ambitious asset recycling programs in the world, in order to deliver the biggest infrastructure pipeline in Australia today, a program which has already made dramatic progress. And just to give you a snapshot of what this means, since 2011, we've invested more than $110 billion in infrastructure, and over the next 4 years alone, we'll be investing another $87 billion. More than 430 projects have already been completed, more than 200 major projects already underway currently, and long-term plans in place to take us to the next decade and beyond. Whether it's roads, public transport, schools and hospitals, we're making sure the infrastructure this state needs is well underway. And not only has this asset recycling program enabled us to have this capital up front to invest in this infrastructure, but it's also grown the net worth of our state. Lynn mentioned the balance sheet of the government, but our net worth as a state, what our citizens own, is now more than $250 billion, an all-time high. But ladies and gentlemen, our citizens, again, own more than ever before in history in New South Wales, but crucially, the essence or the assets that our citizens own are now productive infrastructure that will drive our economy and improve our quality of life for decades to come. And as Premier, I know that the measure of strong financial management is not just how fast our economy grows, but it's also ensuring the opportunities that this success brings to our citizens and to make sure that it's shared across the length and breadth of the state. And travelling around New South Wales, I see the impact of what additional infrastructure and services provides communities. I see the positive confidence that communities build off the back of this government investment, and it includes increasing private sector investment off the back of this as well. And what I'm extremely pleased about is to observe how this strong economic management has changed lives by creating, as I mentioned before, it's a bit of an obsession of mine, not just jobs, but job security. And of the more than 500,000 jobs that New South Wales has created since 2011, that's not bad, 500,000 jobs, more than 60% are full-time, and that's way higher than the national average, which sits around 40 to 45%. 200,000 of these jobs have been created in Western Sydney, and almost 100,000 of these jobs have been created in regional New South Wales in our growing communities. And with last week's ABS figures, we reached two remarkable milestones that I'm incredibly proud of. The total number of jobs in New South Wales has now exceeded 4 million for the first time, and the New South Wales workforce participation rate is at a new record high of 65%. So this is just not having an economic impact, but also a profound social impact. In New South Wales today, we're seeing individuals and households transformed by the ability to find regular work for the first time. People once shut out of opportunity are no longer in that situation. Women account for 60% of all the new jobs across the state. And interestingly, this is really important, employment for the over 55s is growing faster than any other group of people. New South Wales also has by far the lowest unemployment rate for youth, for young people in Australia. And we're seeing the economic opportunities for Indigenous Australians with 40% increase in Indigenous jobs in the last 5 years alone. The most powerful thing we can do as a government for workers in New South Wales today and future generations is to make sure that this remarkable pipeline of jobs continues. Again, not just creating the jobs, but sustaining these jobs. And with government, business and community working together, New South Wales is perfectly placed to own the fast-growing industries and the best jobs of the future, which are spread across every part of our state. We already know that New South Wales is Australia's innovation capital. We have 40% plus of all of the startups here in New South Wales, but I want to see that get to 50%. But we're also the most diverse economy, and that's really important. We're home to cutting-edge finance, technology, as well as booming education and tourism sectors, health, highly advanced manufacturing, agribusiness and defence, just to name a few of the industries that are really growing fast in New South Wales. We are Australia's most globalised economy, where the most influential businesses from around the world are choosing to base their brands and their head offices here. But it's not just the established Australian and global brands that are choosing New South Wales. We are equally committed to the next generation of entrepreneurs that will follow in their footsteps, those people who are making a difference. It's why we invest so much in our Smart Up hubs. In fact, we have a new one established close to here where we're seeing enormous improvements in the ability of people to really take that risk-taking opportunities through entrepreneurialism. Local startups are already excelling on the global stage. Atlassian, Q Control are just two names of brands which are really driving some of the biggest investments in Silicon Valley alone. And as we look ahead, we'll continue to be able to enable companies large and small to innovate, to invest and employ. We'll give our entrepreneurs every backing to grow and thrive. Enabling those conditions will allow that level of risk-taking. And of course, we will continue to support those skills, those trades that are in high demand at the moment. When you have a record infrastructure pipeline, you rely on those trades and skills that will help you deliver that, which is why we're incredibly proud to announce our offer of 100,000 free apprenticeships over the next 4 years. That allows individuals and businesses to invest in those trades and skills, which will keep our pipeline moving. And we will keep focusing on the diversity of our economy, not relying on one or two sectors, but multiple sectors to really sustain this economic growth. New South Wales is exceptional today, again, because of this diversity. We have the capacity through our people, through our organisations and businesses to innovate. We have the skills and the knowledge of our workers and the dynamism of our businesses. We're a state that also tackles the difficult things. If there's a difficult decision to make, we don't mind taking those decisions head on. Whether it's constructing Australia's largest road and rail projects, whether it's leading the world with cutting-edge medical research and technology, and whether it's meeting rising global demand for food with innovative new farming technologies in our primary industries. That diversity, this innovation is what gives New South Wales the edge today, and it's an edge we'll continue to harness in the months and years ahead. In fact, we all know that none of us can stand still, whether you're a business, a community group, an individual, and similarly, our government can't stand still. The global economy and technological change accelerating around us implore us to keep moving forward. But we also must be vigilant in protecting the fundamentals of financial discipline that we've put in place since 2011. Forever vigilant to make sure that strong economic management is the enabler that drives every element of our economic and social progress. With an eye on what the future may hold, our government has not just built surpluses and cut debt, we've also reshaped our balance sheet, as Lynn alluded to. We've grown our funds under management to $90 billion, which isn't too bad, and we've established a new sovereign wealth fund called the Generations Fund. Strong economic management is not optional. It is our contract with the community. And we only need to look at the recent history of New South Wales to see how our progress could be derailed if our political opponents were elected. Unfortunately, they've tried to obstruct every reform or initiative we've undertaken. But ladies and gentlemen, we must continue laying the physical foundations of our future economy. Within the next 18 months to 2 years, we will hit a tipping point with our infrastructure program as a wave of major projects reach completion, whether it's the North West Metro, the Sydney and Newcastle Light Rail projects, the North Connects Road project, the West Connects M4 East, roads, schools, hospitals, you name it. In the next 18 months to 2 years, a whole range of these projects will be coming online. But we're also starting work already on the next generation of transformative projects because the pipeline is so significant and important to continue this high level of business confidence and investment in New South Wales. But we'll also build the game-changing economic precincts powering innovation and jobs, whether it's the $1 billion medical technology and research hub at Westmead, whether it's the Western Sydney Airport and the Aerotropolis at Badgerys Creek that will support up to 100,000 jobs in advanced industries, a really exciting project building a brand new city into the future. New South Wales has always been at its best when it plans for decades ahead, rather than reacting to events. And today we're putting in place the infrastructure that will secure our long-term economic success and, most importantly, prosperity for our citizens. We must continue to back the talent, the ideas and the energy of the next generation that will take New South Wales forward by creating an education and skills training system that truly prepares young people for the opportunities of a changing economy. This means delivering record infrastructure investment in schools, in hospitals, and also in services which support the next wave. But it also means reviewing our school curriculum for the first time in 30 years. It's so important for us to put a greater focus on basics and the skills that students will need for these jobs in the future that we're creating. It means putting a heightened focus on science, technology, engineering and mathematics subjects, something I know CEDA also feels passionately about. It means continuing to invest record amounts in skills and reshape our vocational education system so that it better meets the needs of industry and aspirations of young people. I want to thank our tertiary institutions for the contribution they're making in supporting government in this area. And most importantly, we must continue to champion collaboration between government, business and the community. I believe this collaboration is the most powerful driver of economic growth and innovation. We can't do anything alone. At a time, unfortunately, when anti-business sentiment is rising and the calls for big, overbearing government are growing, New South Wales shows a different way forward. We have a model here where business is enabled to invest and create the jobs and opportunities that change lives while meeting their social responsibilities to work for stronger communities. That is why we've consistently cut taxes and red tape since 2011, most recently by lifting the payroll tax threshold in last month's budget, which I know many people were very pleased about. But it's why we will always, as a government, and I want to thank CEDA for its thought leadership in this, why we will always continue to prize partnership and collaboration with business, because we know that when government and industry work together, we create a platform for the talent in our communities to excel, not just here in New South Wales and Australia, but also globally. New South Wales today, you'd expect me to say this as the Premier, is in an exciting place. We've spent the years since 2011 rebuilding, putting New South Wales back on the path of strong, sustainable economic growth, and now we have a chance to truly own our future. We are leading Australia and in some instances the world in many of the ways that we're leading. But also, we're ensuring that New South Wales extends opportunity, embraces enterprise and ambition and rewards hard work and aspiration for our 8 million citizens today and the generations that follow. After all, there is no higher calling for any government than to increase the opportunity and quality of life for all of its citizens, no matter what their background, where they live and what their circumstances. Thank you so much for allowing me to present today.